The numbers glared back at me from my phone screen. 0. I blinked hard, refreshed the banking app, and checked again. Still 0. My hands started shaking as I scrolled through the transaction history, already knowing what I'd find but needing to see it anyway. My name is Valeria, and I just watched 5 years of savings disappear with a single transfer, authorized by the people who were supposed to love me most. More wine, honey? My mother's voice cut through the fog of shock. I looked up from my phone to see her hovering over me with the bottle, that practiced smile of hers firmly in place. Around our dining room table, my father avoided my gaze, suddenly very interested in his pot roast. My sister Eliana sat across from me, practically bouncing in her seat with barely contained excitement. "When do I get it?" Eliana chirped, fork abandoned. "The dealership closes at 8, and Makey's waiting to drive me there." "Get what?" I asked, my voice eerily calm despite the roaring in my ears. "Oh," my mother's face lit up. "We were going to tell you over dessert, but since you asked, we helped Eliana with the down payment for her dream car, that convertible she's been wanting. Isn't it wonderful?" The room started spinning. "Helped her how?" "Well," my father finally spoke, still not meeting my eyes. "Your mother and I are co-signers on your savings account, from when you were younger. And since you're so good with money, so responsible, you took my house down payment." The words fell like stones between us. "You took $80,000, my entire savings, and gave it to Eliana for a car?" "Don't be dramatic," my mother sighed, setting down the wine bottle. "You're the strong one, Vale. You always land on your feet. Eliana needs this boost right now, especially after her rough year." "Rough year?" I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make my father wince. "You mean when she quit her third job in 12 months because her boss didn't appreciate her potential? That's not fair." Eliana slammed her hand on the table. "You don't know what it's been like for me, just because you're Little Miss Perfect with your fancy office job." "I worked for that money," my voice cracked. "Every overtime shift, every bonus, every raise. I saved everything for 5 years. That was my future you just handed away." "You'll make it back in no time," my mother waved dismissively. "Besides, family helps family. You wouldn't want your sister driving something unsafe, would you?" I stood up so quickly my chair toppled backward. The crash made everyone jump except my mother, who just looked annoyed at the scene I was causing. "Family helps family," I repeated slowly, pulling out my phone again. "You know what? You're right. Let me help by showing you exactly what family does." I stepped away from the table and dialed the number I'd saved months ago, but hoped I'd never need to use. "Lewis Martin's office," a voice answered. "This is Valeria McGee. I need to speak with Lewis about proceeding with that case we discussed." My mother's face shifted from annoyance to uncertainty. "Vale, who are you calling?" "My lawyer," I said clearly, watching the color drain from my father's face. "I've been documenting everything for years. Every loan you guilted me into, every time you drained my accounts for Eliana's latest emergency. Did you think I wouldn't keep records?" "You wouldn't," Eliana whispered, but there was fear behind her eyes now. "We're family." "Family doesn't steal from family," I replied, my voice steady despite the tears threatening to fall. "Mr. Martin? Yes, I'm ready to proceed. They just took $80,000 from my account without permission. Yes, I have the transaction records and everything else." I walked toward the door, pausing only to look back at their stunned faces one last time. "You always said I was the strong one, Mom. Time to show you just how strong I can be." The door clicked shut behind me with a finality that felt like freedom. In my car, I pulled out the thick folder I'd kept in my glove compartment. Years of bank statements, text messages, emails, and recorded conversations. Evidence of a lifetime of financial abuse I'd been too loyal to use until now. My phone buzzed with panicked texts from my family, but I ignored them all. Instead, I opened my email and sent the message I'd drafted months ago, addressed to my parents and sister, with Lewis CC'd. This serves as official notice of legal action regarding unauthorized access and transfer of funds, as well as documentation of systematic financial exploitation. You have 24 hours to return my money in full before my lawyer files the paperwork. Choose carefully. I hit send and felt something shift inside me, the last thread of obligation snapping clean. They thought they knew what I was capable of. They were about to find out how wrong they were. My phone hadn't stopped ringing since I left the house. I watched my mother's name flash across the screen for the 20th time as I sat in my friend Audrey's living room, nursing a much-needed glass of wine. "You should answer it eventually," Audrey said, curled up on her couch. "At least to hear what excuse they come up with." I took a deep breath and hit accept. Immediately, my mother's voice filled the room. I'd put it on speaker so Audrey could witness whatever manipulation was coming. "Valeria Marie, how dare you threaten us with lawyers?" she hissed. "After everything we've done for you." "Everything you've done for me?" I cut in. "Like what, Mom? Taking my first car payment money for Eliana's prom dress? Or maybe you mean the time you emptied my Christmas bonus to pay off her credit cards?" "That's different. She needed—" "No," I interrupted again, surprising myself with how steady my voice remained. What she needed was consequences. What she got was my money. Again. "Your father is sick over this." She switched tactics, her voice dropping to that guilt-inducing whisper I knew so well. "He can barely eat. Is that what you want? To hurt your family?" "Put Dad on the phone, then." A shuffle, and my father's voice came through, weak and pleading. "Princess, please. We can work this out as a family. No need for outsiders." "Like you worked out taking my house deposit without even asking me?" We were going to pay you back," he stammered. "Once Eliana gets settled in her new job." I couldn't help but laugh. "Her new job? The one she hasn't even started yet? The one she'll quit in 3 months when her boss expects her to actually work?" Another shuffle, and suddenly Eliana was screaming through the speaker. "You've always been jealous of me, just because Mom and Dad love me more." "Eliana!" I heard my mother gasp in the background. "Well, it's true," Eliana continued. "She's just bitter and lonely and trying to ruin my life because she can't stand seeing me happy." Audrey made a slicing motion across her throat, mouthing, "Hang up?" But I wasn't done. "You know what, Eliana? You're right. They do love you more. They've proven it with my money over and over again. But here's the thing. Love doesn't pay bills. Love doesn't make up for fraud. And your love definitely isn't worth $80,000. "It's not fraud," my mother jumped back in. "We're on the account." "Check your email," I said calmly. "Louis just sent over some interesting documents about unauthorized access to joint accounts and financial abuse. Did you know that being on the account doesn't actually give you the legal right to take money without the primary account holder's consent, especially not for non-emergency purposes?" The silence on the other end was deafening. "You have 20 hours left to return my money," I continued. "After that, the paperwork gets filed, and not just for this theft, for everything. Every penny you've taken, every loan you've forced, every time you've drained my accounts for Eliana's latest crisis. 5 years of documented evidence." "You wouldn't," my father whispered. "Think about your mother's job at the bank. Think about our reputation in the community. You should have thought about that before you stole from your daughter." I ended the call and collapsed back against the couch. Audrey immediately topped off my wine. "Holy shit," she breathed. "That was intense. Are you okay?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text from Louis. "Found something interesting in your parents' financial records. Possible unauthorized access to a trust fund in your grandmother's name. Call me first thing tomorrow." "Trust fund?" Audrey read over my shoulder. "What trust fund?" My hands started shaking again, but this time with rage rather than shock. "Grandma set up accounts for both me and Eliana before she died. They were supposed to be untouchable until we turned 30. I completely forgot about them because Mom said they were basically empty, that Grandma had spent most of the money on medical bills. But you think... I think I need to see those records. I stood up, suddenly energized. I think this goes deeper than I realized. And I think my parents are about to learn exactly what happens when you push the strong one too far. My phone buzzed again, a message from my cousin Hope. Just heard what happened. There's more you need to know about Aunt Josephine and money. Call me. I showed Audrey the message, and her eyes widened. Vale, I think you just pulled a thread that's going to unravel your entire family. Good, I said, and I meant it. Let it all come down. I'm done protecting their secrets. The courthouse hallway felt colder than it should have in August. I sat on a hard wooden bench, watching my parents and Eliana huddle with their lawyer at the other end of the corridor. They hadn't looked my way once since arriving. Ready? Louis appeared beside me, his briefcase bulging with documents. The trust fund records just came through this morning. It's worse than we thought. Before I could respond, rapid footsteps echoed down the hall. My father broke away from his group and hurried toward us, his face ashen. Vale, please, he whispered urgently. We can still stop this. I'll write you a check right now, the full $80,000. Little late for that, Dad. I kept my voice low but firm. The 24 hours expired 9 days ago. Then name your price. His eyes darted nervously toward Louis. Whatever you want, just drop the case before... He trailed off, sweat beading on his forehead. Before what? I leaned forward. Before everyone finds out about Grandma's trust fund? Before they discover you and Mom somehow burned through $500,000 that was meant for your daughters? He staggered back like I'd slapped him. How did you... Court's about to begin, Louis interrupted smoothly. You should return to your counsel, sir. As my father retreated, Audrey slipped into the seat beside me. Your sister's boyfriend just showed up, she murmured. He looks pissed. Sure enough, Makey was stalking toward us, his jaw clenched. This is crazy, V, he growled. You're really going to do your family like this? Over money? Back off, Makey, Audrey warned, but he ignored her. Eliana's a mess because of you. She had to return the car, her credits shot, all because you couldn't be happy for her success. Success? I stood up, matching his aggressive stance. What success? The job she hasn't started? The car she couldn't afford? The life she builds on stolen money? You better watch yourself. He stepped closer, voice dropping threateningly. Family business should stay in the family. Would be a shame if something happened to... Is that a threat, Mr. Bond? Louis's voice cut through the tension. He held up his phone, clearly recording. Please continue. The court would be very interested in witness intimidation. Makey's face twisted, but he backed away, pointing at me. This isn't over. Actually, it is, I called after him. And that recording's going straight to the judge. Inside the courtroom, my mother's face crumpled when she saw me. Vale, baby, she tried as I passed their table. We can still fix this. We're family. Family? I stopped, turning to face her fully. Was it family when you told me Grandma's trust fund was empty? When you and Dad spent my half on Eliana's failed business ventures and shopping sprees? Her eyes widened in horror. Behind her, Eliana's head snapped up. What trust fund? Eliana demanded. Mom? What's she talking about? The judge entered before my mother could respond. As everyone rose, I caught a glimpse of my mother's lawyer frantically whispering in her ear, her face growing paler by the second. The proceedings moved quickly. Louis presented the unauthorized transfer documents first, clean, clear evidence of the theft. Then came years of text messages, emails, and bank statements showing a pattern of financial abuse. My mother's lawyer tried to argue about parental rights and family obligations, but his arguments felt weak, desperate. Then Louis dropped the bomb. Your Honor, we've uncovered evidence of substantial trust fund fraud. He produced a thick folder. The defendants systematically drained accounts set up for both daughters by their grandmother, using the funds primarily for the younger daughter's benefit while deceiving both beneficiaries about the account's existence and value. The courtroom erupted. Eliana leapt to her feet, screaming at our mother. You said there was no money left. You said Grandma spent it all. You've been lying to me too? Order! The judge's gavel cracked like a gunshot. Mrs. McGee, these are serious allegations. Your response? My mother stood shakily, tears streaming down her face. We only wanted to protect Eliana. Valeria was always so capable, so strong. She didn't need— So you stole from her, the judge finished flatly, and lied to both your daughters about their inheritance. Protecting me? Eliana's voice shook with rage. By making me dependent on you? By stealing from my own sister? The judge's ruling was decisive. Full repayment of my stolen savings plus damages. A separate criminal investigation would be opened regarding the trust fund fraud. My parents sat shell-shocked as their carefully constructed world of lies crumbled around them. As we left the courtroom, I heard Eliana sobbing. For a moment, my heart twisted. She was still my little sister. Then I remembered every time they'd drained my accounts, every lie, every manipulation. Some family ties, I realized, deserved to be broken. Have you seen this? Audrey thrust her phone at me during our lunch break. The local community Facebook page was buzzing with a post from my mother. Heartbroken that our eldest daughter has chosen money over family. Mental health struggles can make people do terrible things. Please pray for Valeria's healing and return to her senses. I nearly choked on my sandwich. Mental health struggles? She's really going there? Wait, there's more. Audrey scrolled through comments. Eliana's been responding to everyone, painting you as unstable and jealous. But look at the reactions. Most people weren't buying it. Comments flooded in from old classmates, former co-workers, even distant relatives, all sharing their own stories of my mother's manipulations and Eliana's entitled behavior. My phone buzzed with a text from my cousin Hope. Family reunion at Aunt Linda's this weekend. They're trying to rally everyone against you. Don't let them control the narrative. You have to go, Audrey insisted when I showed her the message. Stand your ground. Saturday afternoon found me walking into Aunt Linda's backyard, head held high despite my churning stomach. Conversation stopped as I approached. My mother sat holding court among the older relatives, dabbing at her eyes with the tissue. How could you do this to your own mother? Aunt Linda started in immediately. After everything she sacrificed, like sacrificing my inheritance, I cut in loudly, or sacrificing my savings for Eliana's convertible. That's not, my mother began, but another voice interrupted. Let her speak. My cousin Tyler stepped forward. I want to hear her side. The yard grew quiet as I pulled out my phone. Want to see proof? Here's Mom asking for my first car payment for Eliana's prom dress. Here's Dad emptying my account for Eliana's failed yoga studio. Here's them lying about Grandma's trust fund. The trust fund was complicated, my mother snapped. You don't understand. I understand fraud, I replied calmly. So does the district attorney. A gasp went through the crowd. Aunt Linda's face reddened. Criminal charges? Against your own parents? They stole $500,000, I said clearly. They robbed both their daughters and lied about it for years. Ask Eliana if you don't believe me. As if on cue, Eliana burst through the gate, mascara streaking her cheeks. It's all true. They lied to everyone. Mom, how could you? Our mother stood up, reaching for Eliana. Baby, we did it for you. No! Eliana backed away. You did it to me. I could have learned to manage money. I could have grown up. Instead, you made me dependent and entitled, and everyone hates me now. Nobody hates you, I said softly. They just want you to face reality. Reality? Meki appeared behind Eliana, his face twisted with anger. Reality is you destroyed your family over money. Reality is your sister lost everything because of you. Back off, man, Tyler stepped between us. We've all seen how this family operates. Vale's just the first one brave enough to say enough. More relatives moved to stand with Tyler. Aunt Linda sputtered in disbelief as her perfect family gathering dissolved into chaos. My mother's carefully crafted victim narrative crumbled as more people spoke up about past incidents, borrowed money never returned, favors demanded but never repaid. This isn't what family does, my mother tried one last time, her voice breaking. No, I agreed. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't gaslight their children into thinking abuse is love. My phone buzzed, a message from Lewis. Criminal investigation moving forward. They found evidence of other fraudulent accounts. Call ASAP. I looked up to see my mother watching me, her face draining of color as she recognized the expression on my face. She knew there was more coming. The DA has questions about other accounts, I announced to the stunned gathering. Anyone else missing money they entrusted to my parents? Now would be a good time to speak up. The silence was deafening. Then Aunt Linda cleared her throat. They were supposed to be investing my retirement fund. More voices joined in, more stories, more betrayals. My mother sank back into her chair as her web of deception unraveled completely. Eliana grabbed my arm as I turned to leave. Vale, wait. I didn't know about any of it, I swear. I believe you, I said gently. But that doesn't erase what happened. Can we talk sometime without them around? I looked at my sister, really looked at her, and saw fear in her eyes, fear of facing life without our parents' constant enabling, fear of standing on her own. Yeah, I nodded. We can talk. But first, you need to decide who you want to be without their influence. As I walked away, I heard Meki start to say something, but Eliana cut him off. Don't. Just don't. My sister's right. Maybe there was hope for her after all. The bank lobby felt suffocating as I waited for my mother's former colleague, Sarah, to return with the documents. After the family reunion fallout, she'd reached out, hinting at irregularities she'd noticed over the years. Your mother was careful, Sarah said, sliding a folder across her desk. But she made mistakes, small ones at first, then bigger ones as she got bolder. I opened the folder and felt my stomach drop. Account statements, transfer records, loan applications, all with familiar names. Not just my family members, but friends, neighbors, distant relatives. She used her position here to access information she shouldn't have, Sarah explained quietly. Created accounts without proper authorization, moved money around, always small enough amounts that people might doubt their own memory if they noticed. How long? At least 15 years, maybe longer. Sarah leaned forward. Vale, the bank's launching an internal investigation. Your mother's been placed on administrative leave. My phone buzzed, Eliana calling. I'd been avoiding her since the reunion, but something made me answer. Vale? Her voice was shaking. Maggie's here. He's threatening to tell everyone about Mom's private banking clients unless I give him money. Where are you? My apartment. He won't leave. He says he has proof. Don't give him anything. I'm coming over. I found them in Eliana's living room, Meki pacing while my sister huddled on the couch. When he saw me, his face twisted into an ugly smile. Perfect timing, he sneered. Tell your sister what happens to people who mess with other people's money. You mean like how our mother's going to jail for fraud? I kept my voice steady, phone recording in my pocket. Or how you're about to get arrested for extortion? He stepped toward me aggressively. You think you're so smart, but I know things. Your mom talked a lot when she was helping me get loans I didn't qualify for. Told me all about her special arrangements with certain clients. And you thought blackmailing her daughter was a good play? Meki, please, Eliana whispered. Just go. Not without what I'm owed. He whirled on her. Your family ruined my credit. Your mother promised. Your credit was ruined because you defaulted on loans you never should have gotten, I cut in, which, by the way, is all documented in the criminal investigation. Want to add blackmail charges? The door burst open. Lewis walked in with 2 police officers. Meki's face went from anger to panic in an instant. Officers, Lewis said calmly. This is the gentleman I called about, making threats, attempting extortion, and admitting to loan fraud. As the police led Mickey away, Eliana broke down. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. I didn't know he was involved with Mom's banking stuff. I didn't know anything. But you suspected, I said gently. Didn't you? All those easy loans, the mysterious account transfers? She nodded miserably. I didn't want to know. It was easier to just take what they gave me. Pretend everything was normal. My phone buzzed again. Sarah sending more documents, pictures of checks, signature cards, loan applications, a web of financial manipulation spanning decades. Mom's going to prison, isn't she? Eliana asked quietly. Probably. Dad, too, if he knew about all this. He had to know. She wiped her eyes. He always knew everything but pretended not to. It was his way of avoiding responsibility. Lewis cleared his throat. The DA wants statements from both of you. The more cooperation, the better chance of recovering funds for the victims. Victims, Eliana laughed bitterly. That's what I am too, right? Poor little spoiled Eliana, too stupid to see she was being used. You're not stupid, I said firmly. Manipulated, yes. Enabled, definitely. But you can choose differently now. Will you help me? She looked up, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen before. I don't know how to be a real person, how to manage money or take responsibility or... I'll help, I promised, but no more lies, no more schemes, and you have to face whatever consequences come from all this. She nodded, then froze as her phone lit up with our mother's number. Don't answer, Lewis advised. Not until... But Eliana had already hit accept, putting it on speaker. How dare you let them arrest Mickey? Our mother hissed. After everything I did to help that boy, you ungrateful... Goodbye, Mom, Eliana said clearly and hung up. We sat in stunned silence until Lewis spoke. That was a smart recording, more evidence of her involvement in the loan fraud. I learned from the best. Eliana gave me a weak smile. Vale's been documenting everything for years. Speaking of documentation, I pulled out Sarah's folder. Wait until you see what else Mom's been up to. The news vans outside my parents' house made my stomach clench. I hadn't planned on this becoming public, but after the bank's investigation revealed over $2 million in fraudulent transactions, it was inevitable. Miss McGee, a reporter rushed toward my car. Can you comment on your mother's arrest? I kept walking, Audrey flanking me protectively. We were here to collect important documents before the FBI finished their sweep. The sight of yellow crime scene tape across my childhood home's door made everything surreally real. Inside, my father sat at the kitchen table, looking decades older than his 59 years. They took her away in handcuffs, he whispered. In front of everyone. Did you really not know? I asked, though I already knew the answer. All these years? He crumpled a tissue in his trembling hands. I knew. Something wasn't right. But your mother always handled the money, said I wouldn't understand the complexities. The complexities of stealing from everyone who trusted her? My voice cracked. Dad, there are elderly people who lost their life savings. She said she was helping people. He stood up suddenly, making things work for everyone, and look what questioning her got me. My wife in jail, my daughters against me, my name ruined. Your name? I laughed incredulously. That's what you're worried about? A detective appeared in the doorway. Mr. McGee, we need to discuss these account statements we found in your office safe. My father's face went ash gray. I can explain. Save it for your lawyer, the detective said flatly. You're going to need one. As they led my father away for questioning, my phone buzzed with a text from Eliana. Reporter offering $50K for exclusive interview. What should I do? Don't, I texted back. Nothing good comes from selling this story. But we could help pay back some of what Mom stole. She had a point. The victims, God, it was still hard to think of our family friends that way, deserved whatever restitution they could get. My phone rang. Lewis. Vale, they're offering you a deal. What kind of deal? The DA will recommend lighter sentences for your parents if you and Eliana cooperate fully. Give interviews, help identify victims, explain how the scheme worked. They want to use this case to educate people about financial abuse. I sank into a kitchen chair, surrounded by the debris of my parents' life. Photo albums, birthday cards, family vacation pictures, all tainted now by the knowledge of where that money really came from. Vale? Audrey touched my shoulder. There's someone here to see you. Mrs. Peterson, my old piano teacher, stood in the doorway. She looked smaller than I remembered, more fragile. I had to come, she said softly. When I heard about the investigation, your mother was handling my retirement account. My heart sank. Mrs. Peterson, 30 years of teaching savings, she continued, her voice breaking. Gone. She said she was investing it safely. I trusted her because of you, because she raised such a responsible daughter. The guilt hit me like a physical blow. How many others had trusted my mother because of our family's reputation? I'm so sorry, I whispered. We're doing everything we can to help recover. I know you are, dear. She reached for my hand. That's why I came, to tell you not to feel guilty. You exposed the truth. That's worth more than money. My phone buzzed again, a news alert this time. My mother's booking photo stared back at me, alongside headlines about the scope of her fraud. The comments section was already filling up with stories from other victims coming forward. The DA's office needs your answer about the deal, Lewis reminded me gently. I looked around the kitchen one last time, at the family photos, the Bible verses on the wall, all the carefully curated images of perfect family life that had hidden so much darkness. Tell them yes, I said finally. The truth needs to come out, all of it. Mrs. Peterson squeezed my hand. You're doing the right thing. Am I? I asked quietly. Because it feels like I'm destroying everything. No, dear, she said firmly. Your mother destroyed things. You're just bringing the ruins into the light where they can finally be seen. As if to punctuate her words, another detective called from upstairs. Found another safe. This one's full of documents. I took a deep breath and straightened my shoulders. Okay, Lewis, set up the interviews, but make sure Eliana's included in the deal. She needs a chance to make this right, too. And your parents? I looked at their wedding photo on the wall, young, smiling, seemingly innocent. They had their chances. Now they faced the consequences. The sound of camera shutters outside reminded me that soon the whole world would know our story. But maybe, just maybe, it would help prevent another family from living our nightmare. The courtroom fell silent as my mother took the stand. She'd lost weight in the 3 months since her arrest, her designer clothes replaced by a modest gray suit that seemed to swallow her whole. Mrs. McGee, Palmati, the prosecutor began, please explain to the court how you accessed Mrs. Peterson's retirement savings. My mother's eyes found mine in the gallery. I didn't look away. I suggested she consolidate her accounts with me for better returns. And what happened to that money? She twisted her hands in her lap. I needed it for other investments. You mean your daughter Eliana's failed businesses, her car payments, her credit card debt? I was trying to help my children. My mother's voice rose defensively. Everything I did was for my family. Including stealing from other families? The prosecutor held up a document. Your own records show you diverted over $2 million from clients' accounts over 15 years. Was that all for family, too? Before she could answer, the courtroom door opened. Mrs. Peterson entered, using her walker, followed by 3 other elderly victims. My mother's face crumpled. Linda, Mrs. Peterson called out clearly, look at us. Look at what you did to us. The judge allowed it, watching intently as my mother faced her victims for the first time. She tried to maintain her composure, but I saw the moment she broke. I'm sorry, she whispered. I never meant. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Tell them about Grandma's trust fund, I said loudly, standing up. Tell them how it started. The prosecutor nodded encouragingly. My mother's shoulders sagged. Mother left the girls each $250,000, she admitted. I started borrowing from it when Eliana needed help with college. Then it became easy to move money around. People trusted me. They never checked. Because you were family, Mrs. Peterson said softly. Or as good as family. My father's testimony came next. He looked lost without my mother beside him, his answers revealing years of willful ignorance and passive enabling. I knew the money had to be coming from somewhere, Cal, he admitted, but Josephine handled everything. I didn't want to know. Coward, Eliana muttered beside me. She'd been called to testify next. On the stand, my sister was a different person from the entitled girl I'd grown up with. I was spoiled, she stated flatly. My parents never said no, never made me face consequences. When I needed money, it appeared. I didn't question it because I didn't want to. And now? The prosecutor asked. Now I'm working 2 jobs to pay back what I can, taking financial literacy classes, living within my means for the first time in my life. She looked directly at our mother. I'm learning what you should have taught me years ago. The verdict came swiftly, guilty on all counts. My mother sobbed as the judge announced her sentence, 12 years in federal prison. My father received 8 years for his role in the conspiracy. As the bailiff led them away, my mother called out, "Vale, please, take care of your sister." "I will," I said, standing, "but not the way you did." Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Eliana gripped my hand tightly as cameras flashed. "How does it feel to send your parents to prison?" someone shouted. "They sent themselves to prison," I replied clearly. "We just exposed the truth." "And what about the victims?" another called out. "Will they ever see their money again?" "We're working with the FBI to recover what we can," Lewis answered, appearing beside us. "The McGee sisters have been instrumental in tracking down hidden accounts and assets." "Eliana," a reporter thrust a microphone forward. "Any comment on your role in spending stolen money?" My sister straightened her shoulders. "Yes, I'm sorry. I'm working to make amends, and I'm grateful my sister had the courage to stop the cycle of abuse and enablement." Later that night, Audrey brought wine to my apartment. We sat on my balcony, looking at the city lights. "How are you really doing?" she asked softly. I thought about the day's events, my mother's tears, my father's defeat, Eliana's transformation, the victims finally getting justice, the weight of family secrets finally lifted. I searched for the right word, free. My phone buzzed, a text from Mrs. Peterson. "You did good, dear. Your grandmother would be proud." "Was it worth it?" Audrey asked, "losing your family like this?" "I lost them years ago," I replied. "I just didn't know it then. But maybe Eliana and I can build something better, something real." As if on cue, Eliana texted, "Can we have dinner tomorrow? I need help making a budget." I smiled, feeling a glimmer of hope for the first time in months. Sometimes you have to break things completely before you can rebuild them right. The keys to my new house felt heavy in my hand as I stood on the porch, watching the moving truck pull away. Not the house I'd originally planned to buy, but something better. A small craftsman with good bones and a garden that reminded me of Mrs. Peterson's. "Last box," Eliana called out, struggling through the door with a container marked kitchen. She'd insisted on helping with the move, part of her ongoing journey to rebuild our relationship. "Thanks," I said, taking the box from her. "You didn't have to spend your day off here." "Actually, I did." She pulled an envelope from her back pocket. "First restitution payment. It's not much, but—" Inside was a check for $2,000. She'd been working double shifts at the diner and teaching yoga on weekends to start paying back what she'd received from stolen funds. "You're really doing this," I said softly. "Someone has to. Mom and Dad sure can't, from prison." She tried to smile, but couldn't quite manage it. Did you get their letter? I nodded. The latest missive from our mother had arrived yesterday. 8 pages of guilt-tripping and blame, written in her precise handwriting. I hadn't opened it yet. Want to read it together? I offered. We sat on my new porch steps, shoulders touching as I unfolded the pages. Dearest Vale, I read aloud, by now you must see how your actions have destroyed this family. Your father's health is failing. The other inmates treat me terribly. If you had just kept quiet. Classic mom, Eliana snorted, still trying to make it your fault. And now poor Eliana is working as a waitress, I continued. Is that what you wanted? To see your sister reduced to serving others? Reduced? Eliana grabbed the letter. I'm earning honest money for the first time in my life. I'm paying my own rent. I'm actually proud of myself. A car pulled up to the curb. Audrey, carrying takeout bags. Behind her, Mrs. Peterson emerged from the passenger seat. Hope you don't mind, Audrey called out. Found this lovely lady at the grocery store. She insisted on seeing your new place. Mrs. Peterson made her way up the path with her walker. Beautiful house, dear. Those roses need some attention, though. Would you? I hesitated. Would you teach me how to care for them, like you used to teach me piano? I'd love to. She settled onto the porch swing. But first, tell me why you girls look so serious. Eliana held up the letter. Mom's latest guilt trip. Mrs. Peterson adjusted her glasses and read a few lines. Still blaming everyone else, I see. Just like when she stole my savings, it was always someone else's fault, some emergency, some necessity. I keep wondering, I admitted, if I did the right thing, if there was another way. There wasn't. Eliana's voice was firm. I needed the wake-up call. Mom and Dad needed consequences. The victims needed justice. Speaking of justice, Audrey pulled a newspaper from her bag. They found another account. The FBI says it could mean several $100,000 more in restitution for the victims. Mrs. Peterson smiled. That would help a lot of people sleep better. We ate dinner on moving boxes, sharing stories and plans. Mrs. Peterson taught us her secret recipe for lemon bars. Eliana talked about her business classes at the community college. Audrey helped me plan the garden layout. As the evening wound down, I found the last box from my old apartment. Inside was a photo album, the real history of our family, not the perfect facade our parents had maintained. Keep it, Eliana said when I offered to share it. I'm more interested in making new memories. Like this? I gestured to our impromptu dinner party. Exactly like this. Mrs. Peterson hugged us both before leaving. You know, she said thoughtfully, sometimes the strongest families are the ones we build ourselves. After everyone left, Eliana helped me make up the bed in my new room. Can I stay tonight? She asked quietly. My apartment feels empty sometimes. You can stay whenever you want, I replied. That's what real family does. We lay in the darkness, listening to the house settle around us. No more secrets, no more lies. No more pretending everything was perfect when it was falling apart. Vale, Eliana whispered, thank you for being strong enough to break us apart and kind enough to help me put myself back together. I reached for her hand in the dark. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more letters from prison, more restitution payments to arrange, more painful truths to face. But tonight, in this new house with its imperfect roses and creaky floors, I finally felt at home. Not because everything was fixed, but because everything was real. And real, I'd learned, was better than perfect any day.